Hi, today we're going to make Asian baked buns using a bread maker. The recipe that I'm doing will make about 8 buns, and you can check the list of ingredients in the description below. We'll start by making the TANGZHONG. This is supposed to make the buns soft and fluffy and stay that way longer. It is a mix of 1 part flour and 5 parts water. For this recipe, use 25 grams of flour and 125 ml of water. Then stir the mix on low heat until it thickens and show lines when you stir. If you have a thermometer, stir until it reaches 65 degrees Celsius. For this recipe, you will need 120 grams of TANGZHONG. And then cover it up with cling wrap. Make sure that the plastic touches the surface to prevent a crust. And after that, leave it to cool to room temperature. After it cools down, we can start putting the other ingredients in the pan. First, add the milk. It's scalded and cooled, 125 ml. And then 120 grams of TANGZHONG that's already cooled down. And then add 1 teaspoon of salt, 4 tablespoons of castor sugar. Castor sugar is basically granulated sugar. And 2.5 cups of bread flour. Just be careful when you're putting in the flour. Make sure that the paddle doesn't collapse. And then add 1 tablespoon of milk powder. This is to make the buns more fragrant and it's optional. And add 1 large egg. And also 2 teaspoons of dry yeast. Wipe off any excess spills from the pan. And put the pan in the bread maker. And select the dough settings. It should show 1.5 hours on the timer and press start. The machine will knead for half an hour and let the dough rise for 1 hour on a warm temperature. When the dough starts coming together, about 10 minutes into the kneading, add 30 grams of butter at room temperature. Then keep an eye on the dough. If it is too sticky, add more flour, and if too dry, add more water. As we are only using the bread maker to knead the dough, if you don't have a bread maker, you can also use a stand mixer or even by hands. Although it is quite a sticky dough, so I'd imagine it would be quite tricky by hands. After that, the bread machine will let the dough rise at about 32 degrees Celsius for 1 hour. And then put some flour on your workbench so the dough doesn't stick on the bench. And remove the dough from the pan. And then put the dough on the floured bench. And deflate it. Just to remove the air bubbles from inside. And then divide the dough into about 8 equal portions. If you want to be exact, you can use a scale to weigh them. And then roll them into balls and put them close together. You can put them on a tray because we're going to leave them again to rise in a warm place. But I'm just going to leave mine on the bench. After that, you can place a cling wrap or a wet towel around them and leave them to rise for about 15 minutes. Hi, this is the part 2 video of how to make soft Asian buns using a bread maker. In this video, I'm making 4 different types of Asian buns, but it is really up to you which ones you like. Deflate the dough by throwing it on the bench, and then roll it to wrap around the sausage. Try to have the start and the end of the dough on the same side of the sausage. If the dough is not long enough, stretch it by rolling it a bit more. The continental Frankfurt is actually a bit long. You can cut it in half to make it more manageable if you like. Repeat the process with the Chinese sausage. The Chinese sausage is slightly shorter than 2 Chinese sausage buns ready to be baked. For the rest, I would bake them plain, so just shape them into a ball and put them on a tray lined with baking paper. And after that, cover them with cling wrap again or a wet towel and leave them to rise for about 30 to 45 minutes or until double in size. After 45 minutes, the buns have risen and they are ready to be baked. Bake them in a preheated oven at 180 Celsius for about 15 to 20 minutes. Once they are golden brown, take them out of the oven. Have 1 egg yolk prepared and brush it on the surface of the buns. The egg yolk will give this shiny golden color to the buns when they are done. After that, return them to the oven for an additional 5 minutes. And then take them out. They look so yummy. Leave them to cool on the rack, and then we're going to finish off the pork floss buns. Please refer to the description below for the ingredients to make the topping for the pork floss buns. We need 1 tablespoon of condensed milk, 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise. I'm using Kewpie mayonnaise at the moment. One teaspoon of sugar and a pinch of salt, and mix it well. Pour a handful of pork floss on a plate. You can use shredded pork as well. And then make an incision in the middle of a plain bun. It doesn't have to be too deep. Insert the mixture of mayonnaise in the middle and also on the rest. And then put the bun on the pork floss so they'll stick to it. And just make sure that the top of the bun is all covered with pork floss. And that's it. That's the pork floss bun. And here is the taste test by my 4-year-old daughter. And thumbs up. Very happy with it. The buns are really soft and fluffy, and they're really yummy. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching. See you next time. Hi, today we're going to make Asian baked buns using a bread maker. The recipe that I'm doing will make about 8 buns, and you can check the list of ingredients in the description below. We'll start by making the TANGZHONG. This is supposed to make the buns soft and fluffy and stay that way longer. It is a mix of 1 part flour and 5 parts water. For this recipe, use 25 grams of flour and 125 ml of water. Then stir the mix on low heat until it thickens and show lines when you stir. If you have a thermometer, stir until it reaches 65 degrees Celsius. For this recipe, you will need 120 grams of TANGZHONG. And then cover it up with cling wrap